Alrighty. So what is the Benjamin A. Gilman Scholarship? This is the United States Department of State Gilman International Scholarship Program, which enables students with limited financial means to study abroad or intern abroad. It was created in 2001, and since that time, it has had 33,000 scholarships have been awarded for both intern and study abroad. So why would you choose the Gilman? The Gilman Scholarship really enables Americans to gain proficiency in being diverse students of the world. They can study languages and cultures. They can also gain skills through internships and education abroad that are important to building international relationships and career development.
Do you want me to go? Sure. So some of the award benefits for getting the Gilman Scholarship, every year they award approximately 3,600 scholarships of up to $5,000 for an academic year, study abroad or intern abroad, or this could also be summer or semester as well. Some other benefits include 12 months of non-competitive eligibility hiring status within the federal government. And some of the expenses covered for your program potentially could be the tuition, the program tuition, room and board, books, local transportation, insurance, international airfare, and passport and visa fees.
So there is also the Critical Need Language Award, which is in conjunction to being awarded with the Gilman. Applicants who are studying a critical need language, which are listed below, can also apply for this supplemental award, which can be up to $3,000 for a total of $8,000 total for an award. Arabic, Bahasan Indonesian, Chinese Mandarin, Hindi, Korean, Portuguese, Russian, Turkish, and many more. And on the list of the Gilman website, it will show you which countries are eligible for you to study in for those critical need languages.
And it's just some program highlights from the 2019-2020 academic year. Overall, there were Gilman scholars who studied or interned in 106 countries around the world. 47% of those students were first-generation college students. 56% of them studied a language while they were abroad. 80% of them said they acquired job-related skills during their programs abroad. And 29% of Gilman scholars were STEM majors.
So it is open to all majors and all interests. So there are some important things to note with the COVID-19 impacts. Mason applicants are eligible to apply for virtual international programs that have to be a minimum of 3 weeks. This can be a multi-country program, a multi-area, or a multi-city program are all eligible, and there's no minimum stay within country, area, or city. It just has to be at least 3 weeks total. Applicants can apply to a program that in countries that are currently in areas that are listed as a level 3 or level 4 only due to COVID at the time of application and when it's due in March. If you're awarded this, the Gilman, and it is still in a level 3 or level 4, you 4 weeks prior to departing for your stay, you will need to either change your program or see if you can conduct this virtually. So those are some important changes that are this year as a result of COVID-19 that may be extending into the next cycle in October as well. So to be eligible for the Gilman, you have to be a United States citizen. I do believe you can be a dual citizen. Undergraduate students must be in good standing at an accredited institution of higher education in the United States. You have to be receiving a Pell Grant during the time of application or provide that you will be receiving a Pell Grant during the term of your study abroad or intern abroad program. You have to be in the process of applying to, accepted to a credit-bearing study abroad or internship abroad program or a virtual international program. And you need to be applying for a credit-bearing studying abroad programs that are overall in an area of 1 or 2. If it's due to COVID, you can be at level 3 or 4, but if it is not COVID related, must be a travel advisory of a 1 or 2.
Now onto the essays. There are 3 essays total. The statement of purpose, which has a 7,000 character limit, including spaces, It is single-spaced, 1-inch margins, 12-point font, and it's preferred to be uploaded in a doc or docx format. So basically like just anything you would get with Microsoft Word, which I presume you all have. For community impact, there are 2 essays. One is about building mutual understanding, and the other is your service project proposal. Those have a 3,000 character limit, including spaces. So very short, like less than a page. Those are single spaced, they have 1-inch margins, they have a 12-point font, and we also prefer that they be uploaded in a doc or docx format. Now, when talking about the statement of purpose, you need to focus on how studying or interning abroad will help you achieve your future academic or professional goals. You need to focus on why you selected that specific program and your host country, how you're academically prepared to be a successful scholar abroad. If you have faced significant academic difficulties, please tell us here about those and how you're overcoming them. And finally, what examples of knowledge, skills, and experiences will you draw on to meet the challenges of going abroad? And when you're writing these, a little tip that the Office Fellowship likes to recommend is that you not use words like passionate or like you have a strong desire or anything like that. Instead, demonstrate it through your writing. And I can definitely go into more detail on that if any of you end up working with me, but in the meantime, just try to keep that in mind. As for the other essays, the Building Mutual Understanding essay is primarily focused on, as a US citizen, how you represent and share what it means to be an American during your program. How will you seek opportunities to become more culturally engaged and have meaningful interactions with people and cultures different from your own during your abroad program? In addition, there is the follow-on service project proposal. Gilman scholars are expected to complete the follow-on service project, which is to increase awareness of study abroad and the Gilman Scholarship among their peers in their home or campus communities. In that essay, you will describe your follow-on service project in detail. What's your project? How will it increase awareness of study abroad in the Gilman program among your peers? And identify and explain why you chose this specific community you will be reaching. How will you integrate the impact of your experience abroad into your project? With which campus departments, student organizations, or community organizations will you collaborate? And there's a frequently asked questions page on the website, which I can link you all to if you'd like that. But some examples of what people have done for their follow-on service projects include a K-12 outreach, an academic department outreach, campus office outreach, study abroad outreach, and just really anything that involves trying to share the information about the Gilman Scholarship and sharing what they can do with your campus. Now, those would be the only essays unless you are applying for the Critical Need Language Award applicant. Then you would need a 2,000 character, including spaces, essay with your motivations for improving your language proficiency, how you intend to improve your language skills while studying abroad, how you intend to use the language after you study abroad, and how will the Critical Need Language Award prepare you for this? And if you plan to study in a country where your language does not appear in the list above, what are the benefits and resources of studying abroad in your proposed country? As mentioned, some of the languages that you could be studying for a critical need language include Arabic, Azerbaijani, Bahasa Indonesian, Bangla, Mandarin, Hebrew, Hindi, Japanese, Korean, and many more. There's a list online, and I can happily link you all to the page for the essays. In fact, I think I'll do that in the chat right now. One moment. I see there's a question over here. We'll address questions a little later. And think carefully about your motives for applying to these scholarships. Contextualize the Gilman Scholarship in your educational path. Where have you been? Where are you now in your current career at college? And where are you going? Do multiple drafts all the time. Start early and write often. So this isn't like just a standard essay that you're going to get a grade on. These are very exclusive scholarships, and people are going to be reading these over and over again and looking for, or we are going to be looking at these over and over again, but the committee is only going to be looking at them for maybe 5 to 7 minutes. And if they see anything they don't like, they're going to just toss it away. You've got to share your work with the you've got to share your work with me as much as you can, your writing specialist, and your faculty mentors. Avoid overuse of common phrases, as I said, like you know, passionate, I've always wanted to, things like that. Don't be afraid of feedback. You're going to receive feedback, and not all of it's going to be positive, I can tell you that. There is going to be always a problem with your essay, but that's why you bring it to people like us, so that we can iron it out and so that we can make it better and so that we can like essentially hammer it into shape. And always, always, always proofread your essays. And then after you've proofread your essays, give them to somebody who hasn't seen them to proofread them. And then after you've done that, give them to someone else who hasn't seen them to proofread them. And just keep going over and over, because every time somebody gets familiar with your essays, you are going to be in a situation where they're going to know exactly what you've written. And they're not going to see the common errors that you might have made. So this is pretty much about what needs to be said about the Gilman essays. And from there on, I think I will pass it back to Christina.
Awesome. Okay. So just like DT was saying, there's several questions that your essays should always be able to answer. And when you're looking at your application and your essays, when we go into our breakout rooms, they should be able to answer the following questions. Do your goals and your qualifications, are they listed in there? Are you highlighting them? And are you telling the committee that's going to be reading them how it's going to apply to your travel and study abroad or intern abroad program? What are you going to gain and what do you bring? These programs see these applications anywhere between 3 and 7 minutes. So in that little bit of time frame, you have to be able to tell the committee what you're going to bring, what unique experience and background do you have that's going to make you a highlight candidate, and what are you going to gain when you come back to the United States? How are you going to integrate your experience abroad in promoting international diplomacy as Americans? You need to think about the country. Is the country that you want to study abroad in the right fit? This can be anything from realizing that you may have ethnic or religious backgrounds that may be something that can be a problem area. How are you going to address that? And then are you going to be a good ambassador for the United States? When you are talking about yourself, your future program, and how you intend to interact both in and outside of your program, are you going to be a top-notch citizen, essentially? They're looking for those students that are going to be outgoing and active within the community, but in a positive way. These are just the important dates that you need to remember when applying for the Gilman. It has 2 award cycles per year. One is in March. This year, the application is already open. So hopefully if you're here for the writing section and workshop, you've already looked at it and already have a good start on your essays. These are for program start dates between May 1st of this year and April 30th of next year, 2022. You can study in the summer, fall, the entire academic year of 21-22, and for spring 2022 program. So if your program is starting before April 30th, you can apply during this March deadline. If you're not accepted in this deadline for the March application, you can apply again this year. You can apply for the October deadline as well. It's very important to note that the Office of Fellowships does require you to submit prior to the national deadline because these databases are huge. There's often several thousand applicants applying and systems go down. And if it goes down, we can't do anything about it. So we ask that you be available to submit at least 48 hours in advance, but the hard deadline is Tuesday, March 9th, 2021 at 11:59 Pacific time. So that's like 3 a.m. our time if you're on the East Coast. But you need to make sure that you have it in by 11:59 Pacific time. If you decide you're not ready for the program, your program start date's a little bit later, you don't get accepted for this for the March cycle, you can always apply for the October cycle. That application is not open yet. It opens usually in the middle of August, middle or late August. These are for program start dates that start December 1st of this year and go through a start date of October 31st of 2022. You can do spring 22, summer 22, fall 22, or academic year 2022 to 2023. So if you decide you want to do like a mid-semester over in the UK or in Germany and it starts in this like November, I think is when the Michaelmas starts, you can apply for that using the October deadline. This again is due in Pacific time on Tuesday, October 15th, 2021 at 11:59 Pacific time. All right. So this is some contact information. If you are interested in more, you can always contact the pgfs@gmu.edu.